The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass podcast. This is for UFC Fight Night Boston. Reyes versus Weidman. Paul Shaughnessy here with Cody Saftic. Back after a bad card for me. I can't believe I bet on Mackenzie Dern. I can't believe I bet on Kron Gracie. It's like, I'm a Khabib guy. It's just like, I'm a wrestling guy. I like wrestlers. And like, for whatever reason, I was like, you know what? I'm going to bet jiu-jitsu people who have never shown me really any sort of wrestling prowess.
Paul, to put you on the spot right here, because you used to tell people this all the time. But if Sambo is easy, what would they call it?
Jiu-jitsu.
Well, there you go. You took the coward's way. I can't blame you. I was on Kron as well. Yeah, we knew that if these guys couldn't get the fight to the ground, they'd be in trouble. And in the case of both of them, they couldn't get the fight to the ground, and such is life. So let's not look in the past and hopefully get back on some
I know. I had been running well, so I was like, you know, it was a good humbling experience. Be like, you know, don't get out of your lane. You got to stick to your principles. Anyway, before we get into anything, we have a winner announced for this week. He's already won the damn thing. I told Mayo, I was like, this name seems familiar. I was like, oh yeah, Lockport 3121 has won before. And he's like, people will know that it's a random draw because why would I pick this guy twice? I'm just like, and we were talking about Lockport Gambino Ford.
That's my Gracie theory. You fucking rigged it. You were talking about how much you loved Lockport Gambino.
And then Pat's algorithm went to Lockport Gambino Ford.
Have we had repeat winners?
I think this guy, he said he was from like Lockport, Indiana or something like that.
Okay.
It wasn't actually, like Buffalo. Either way, congratulations to you, Lockport 3121.
And you could win again because apparently
the prize
department doesn't give a shit.
Maybe Lockport Gambino Ford is just going to win every single week from now on.
That nobody else is going to comment and like the episode and give their comment.
So yeah, what you got to do this week is you got to like the comment.
No, like the show.
Sorry, like the show on YouTube. Leave your DK handle and say which fight you're most excited for. I know it's a real cop-out this week. You didn't have a great idea, so it is what it is.
Fair enough. But
there's, you got Reyes versus Weidman. You have Jeremy Stevens, who seems very upset at Yair Rodriguez, and rightfully so, but we'll get to that.
A little more momentum towards that one now. You got Greg Hardy, which is a very polarizing character. You got Joe Lauzon.
Maybe the last fight for him ever. It's possible.
Joe Lauzon is the bonus hunter king of the world. And last but not least, Macy Barber.
What about Deron Wynn, who's DC's little protege?
Yeah, it's actually a fun card. So leave. What's your most excited?
Yeah, I like the card. I'm actually, for a fight night, it's pretty good.
Loaded.
Yeah, I love it.
On a Friday.
Yeah, let's get into the action then. We've got Dominic Reyes taking on Chris Weidman. Dom Reyes is 8,800, minus 175 favorite. Chris Weidman, 7,400. And plus 155. Here's the thing. There's so many question marks on this.
A zillion
fight.
question marks. So let's go through them.
So question number one. Why is Weidman coming up to 205 in the first place? Because like I don't think he ever really seemed like a guy to me that was like, you know what he needs to do? He needs to get out of this weight class. He always made weight. I'm sure it's hard. It's hard for everybody. But he wasn't a guy that seemed like it was killing him to make the 185-pound limit. He had some losses, but it's all against really good fighters and stuff like that. Like, he's still in the mix at 185 if he decided to stay there. Like, he probably needs a couple wins.
That's his issue. That's to answer your question. That's exactly why he's doing it. John Paul.
Well, I think it has more to do with the fact that he looks at a guy like Thiago Santos. He goes, man, this guy took like 2 fights at 205. And then once he did that, all of a sudden he's in a title shot. Like, I've already been at the top of the middleweight mountain. I'm killing myself to a degree to get down to 205 or down to 185. So I think the fact that the path to the title seems a hell of a lot easier at 205 pounds. And maybe they're all anticipating that John Jones is going to leave the division and go up to heavyweight eventually too. So then it's wide open for people to get it.
You're saying it's wide open
going
for
from 185 to 205, here's the big problem. That's 20 pounds. And we saw it with Luke Rockhold. 205 gets a lot of disrespect, and rightfully so. It's not the most like deep division, I guess. But like Luke Rockhold, former champion, goes up there, takes on Jan Blachowicz, who's a top 10 guy, but like nobody's ever been like, oh, this guy's the future, this guy's the truth. and he gets absolutely flattened. Like making that move, it's not like the other weight class. You're moving 20 pounds, and there is definitely a massive size disparity. I'm interested to see how Weidman looks at the weigh-ins. Like, I can't help myself. Like, everyone seems, or at least the gambling community on Twitter seems to be on Reyes. I imagine the public would be smashing a former champion like Weidman at this price. But like, we'll see how it looks. Weidman's got an inch reach advantage. I kind of want to bet that side at these odds, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, fair enough. But what I was saying is that John Pollock and I had this conversation 2-3 years ago. Why wouldn't Chris Weidman jump up to 205 pounds? Whereas it doesn't sound like the most logical idea out there. Not only is 185 logjam, but he's lost all those guys. He's not getting a fight with Whitaker at the time. He wasn't getting a fight with Whitaker. He's lost to Jacare. He's lost to Yoel Romero. He had lost to Gegard Mousasi. He's not even a top 5 middleweight.
He's got a win over Gastelum, though. And Gastelum took the champion to deep waters, took him into hell.
And to be honest, he looked fucking awesome against Mousasi till he got caught. He looked awesome against Yoel Romero till he got caught. He looked pretty decent against Jacare till he got caught. But the issue is he keeps getting caught. And then you got to wonder the injuries, the time off, the aging, the recent knockout losses. Like, how much is that?
Surgeries.
Yeah, and so it would have been nice to see him move up at 205, quite simply because there's nobody at 205. As you mentioned, that Thiago Santos is getting his fight, but like John Jones has notoriously fought a lot of guys that probably shouldn't have got the fight. Even Gustafsson, who got it simply because he had a legendary fight with him once upon a time. Like, they were basically just trying to keep Jones warm. Let's just throw somebody in there with him. So at least if Weidman had jumped up then, he would have been a shoo-in for it. Now he's got to win a couple fights before he can sell that name of Chris Weidman getting a title fight. But yeah, he doesn't got bad size for 205, right? He's 6'2", 77, 78-inch reach, which is a longer reach than Reyes, but 2 inches short, right? He's not going to be the biggest 205er, but I don't think he's out of place. It's not like you're saying. It's the disrespect that people don't understand in that 20 pounds jump. Who are a lot of the guys that we talk about that we would like to see jump up in 205, right? People talked about Rockhold. Maybe it helps his chin, which it fucking didn't. No. Yoel Romero, dude can barely make 185 to begin with, and he's so good at wrestling. What he'd be great at 205. And Chris Weidman, which I wasn't huge
and
on.
Yoel, it doesn't even seem like he seems very committed to staying at 185 because I think he knows it's 5'9". It's like it's hard for him to go up to 205 pounds and be. John Jones probably has like 15 inches reach advantage on him or something like that.
Yeah, and herein lies the bigger issue now is that all of those guys are great grapplers. They're great at getting their opponents on the ground. But now that you're putting on that extra 20 pounds, you're moving up to 205, it becomes significantly harder. Luke Rockhold has never met a man that he couldn't fucking take down. In fact, just recently, there's a video of him taking down a motherfucking bull. He got nowhere close to taking on Jan Blachowicz. It was like shooting on a fucking Greek pillar. Like, didn't even get close. It was a big difference, that size advantage. Even though he's 6'4", or 6'3", I should say. Even though he's got the size.
It's the thickness, like the chest thickness, like the just general body type. There's a different body type for a 185 pounder and a 205 pounder.
It's the general thickness. Now, people would say, oh, well, Yoel Romero, he's an Olympic silver medalist. He's so athletic. He's got great wrestling. Listen, if he's botching takedowns, if he's getting stuffed out a few times by Robert Whitaker used to fight at 170. He's mid-size at 85 at fucking best. And now you're telling me that he's getting stuffed in a few takedowns attempts there. He's going to move up and all of a sudden just be taking down guys at 205, no problem. Again, it's styles make fights. Depends who he's fighting. But it's a lot harder, right? And I think that Weidman will have the same issue here. Reyes wrestled in college. He's not a complete slouch, where that's probably not the best part of his game. He's going to be able to stuff some takedowns. He's got good gas tank. He should be able to... I guess he did not look good his last time out. But if we're putting that aside, like... maybe he can exploit Weidman and take him to deeper waters. But all the other guys that knock out Weidman late are terrific power punchers. They're great at finishing opponents. Whereas Reyes doesn't quite have that power.
So take Weidman to deep waters?
Take Weidman to deep waters.
We've never seen him go 5 rounds.
Who, Reyes?
Yeah.
Okay, fair. But
he didn't look horrible against Ozdemir in round 3, but like he didn't look like he had tons of energy left.
Yes, but the fight prior to that against Ovince St. Preux, he's all over this guy. There's 4 minutes and 59 seconds past.
Just sometimes just doesn't show up to work.
Yeah, that happens 50% of the time. He Von Preux's your ass or he doesn't show up to work. It's one or the other. But what I'm saying is there's 1 single second left in that fight and he knocks out OSP. You know, it's a buzzer beater that otherwise he puts him away. But here's a guy that's revved up, ready to go 2 more. Now I get it. He did not look good against Volkan Ozdemir, so we needed an improved version of him. But 29 years old, he should be getting better. He's been spending a lot of this training camp at Dan Henderson's Ultimate Training Center. And whereas he's there, he's probably working with a lot of wrestlers. He's probably working with a lot of guys like Chris Weidman, albeit not on Chris Weidman's level. But, you know, keep the fight upwards. grind on this guy, keep your cardio in check, and move on. What I want to talk about Chris Weidman is we always talk about the legendary wins, the Anderson Silva wins. You were there. You were there for, in my opinion, one of the top 3, if not 5, biggest moments in MMA history. You were there.
I was.
How fucking long ago is that, ball?
Well, it's gotta be like 7-8 years ago.
So
me and my boy.
I'm suggesting.
I mean, I could just play the video.
Yeah.
Play the video right now.
What height? What height? I fucking told you this was gonna happen! We all got this fighter! We all got the fucking fighter! Woo! Hey, ready? USA! 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 USA!
That is my boy, main event Kent.
Main event Kent.
That you can
One of
see
the originals.
featured. We're cheering
Chris
USA. A lot of angry Brazilians all around us. Very upset.
And we all know Chris Weidman. We all know the history. We all know the pedigree. But we're just going to talk about something real quick. The guy turns professional MMA just shy of his 25th birthday. A little bit of a late start for MMA, but so be it. Makes the UFC just 4 fights into his career. Great. After he beats Mark Munoz, remember that nasty elbow where he smashed Mark Munoz in the face, completely knocks him out? It's just like, oh, man. Okay, after that, he was scheduled to fight Tim Boetsch at UFC 155. He bailed out of the fight with a shoulder injury. He ended up taking a year off and was booked into the Anderson Silva title fight on a year-long absence. That's why it was a historic moment. That's why nobody was giving him a chance. Dude's coming off a year-long shoulder surgery layoff, and he beats the greatest of all time. Great. Beats him the second time. Then he's scheduled to fight Vitor Belfort at UFC 173. It ends up being him versus Machida at 173. Only Weidman bails out with a knee injury. So he's taken a year off because of his shoulder injury. He's now taken a year off because of his knee injury. Sorry, 2 months. He comes back, beats Machida, the knee injury. Okay. Now he's scheduled to fight Vitor Belfort at UFC 181. Only Chris Weidman breaks his hands. That one I'm not concerned about. I'm more concerned about when he bailed out of the Vitor Belfort fight at UFC 184 with torn rib cartilage. Okay, fair enough. What about that Luke Rockhold rematch at 199 that he bailed out with a neck injury? Okay, what about that when it was rebooked?
I get it. He's banged up. He's banged up,
He's
but
banged
like
up.
this, the line keeps moving.
Yeah, but
so
that's what we're chasing, right? He takes year-long gaps. Okay?
I may
He
just
takes
take the
year-long
bait.
gaps.
I'm all I'm saying is that this is a dog or pass situation for me at this point because I just don't trust if it does go into 4 and 5 rounds. I don't see Reyes.
I'd say full on pass. You can't put any trust behind him, being that there's that many injuries.
Let's see how far we get on
moving up 20 pounds.
Let's see how far we. Yeah, I know.
You need a better price, and you're not going to get a better price because it's already a fair price.
It keeps getting bigger, bud. It keeps getting bigger.
I don't love Reyes, but I see where fading Weidman is 100% the logical.
He's got to be the better grappler.
Weidman is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's moving up 20 pounds, and if he does take,
I know grappling
Reyes
does
down,
not favor the smaller, frame.
Is he going to submit in the? Yeah, you're right. He looked great against Kelvin Gastelum,
But also
welterweight.
welterweight. Exactly.
Who dropped his motherfucking
All right,
ass
this
in the
all
first
makes sense.
round.
I'm probably just gonna end up passing on it.
That's a fair play. That's a fair play. As
I
far as DK
may
goes,
play
I
Weidman
think
on
that-
DraftKings though, because 7,400. If
he
he
finish
is
Reyes?
able to just
Does he finish
if he is able to just wrestle him,
Is he going to score big if he wrestles him? He's
of
$7,400.
course, a cheap wrestler. You're always
A
looking for cheap
205
wrestlers.
wrestler.
I don't know. I'm probably gonna end up playing Chris Weidman on DraftKings.
Okay, so be it.
The way the slate looks like to me right now, but maybe that'll change as we break down this episode. Let's move on down the card. We've got Jeremy Stevens taking on Yair Rodriguez. 8,100 on each of these guys. Minus 115 Stevens, minus 105 Rodriguez. So like this was basically the odds for this fight when it was at 10,000 feet or what, 8,000 feet elevation, whatever it is in
7,800 feet.
whatever,
Whatever.
whatever it is. It's real high,
Real high.
real high up in Mexico City. So it was the same thing. There was the eye poke, very, very egregious eye poke, in my opinion. Like that looked intentional. Yair Rodriguez is starting to look like he looks like a piece of shit to me. Like I think he's just a bad person. No, seriously. Think about like all the camp switches and stuff like that. Think of I'm putting him on blast right now.
Wow.
Think about when he had that issue with the UFC, not taking the Zabit fights like that. These types of things don't all just happen to people. Like, and then the comments that he had after, like I think I've been giving him benefit of the doubt in situations because of a bit of a language barrier. But then when he was on like the after show talking about like how he thought Jeremy Stephens quit in there, it's just like, nah, I think this guy's just a piece of shit. Yeah. So I'm like emotionally invested.
To Team Stephens.
I want Stephens to absolutely kill him.
I think everybody can agree on that.
So, I mean, I think I'm actually emotionally invested. Like, I'll be actively cheering for Stephens. So, I'm interested to hear your take. I'm definitely playing Stephens on DraftKings at 8,100 because, like, I think he's going to go out there. You're already saying that he's actively going to go out there and try to kill him. And I believe him because he's a crazy person.
Yeah, and so if that's the plan, I just think he's going to be too emotional.
Did you see his interview yesterday?
Yeah, and he is
going to be way too emotional. That is 100%.
Too
I want emotional guys on DraftKings, though.
No, I'll tell you why. Because everybody always says the best part about Jeremy Stephens is that right hand. But to be honest, the guy's got nasty leg kicks. If he fights a good game plan, he slows his opponent down, and then all of a sudden they're more in a prone position, he bombs off on them. If he just goes headhunting against Yair Rodriguez, he's going to have a problem because even though you didn't get to see none of the last fight, what you do at least know is Yair Rodriguez, and we knew this beforehand, is significantly faster. He's way rangier. He's going to stay to the outside. If Jeremy Stephens fights a smart game plan, especially when it was 5 rounds and the motherfucker had spent 2 months in Mexico City preparing for the altitude, preparing for all these things, then you can start to feel, hey, dude, Jeremy might bring it on late. Hey, dude, Jeremy might solve the puzzle at some point. He's just got to sustain the early attack from Yair Rodriguez. Hey, he's taking this training camp seriously. All that's now been shifted. I'm sure he's still in great shape. I'm sure both of them are still in great shape. But like your body physically peaked. He said he spent like what, $30,000 on that training camp in Mexico City. Now he's just supposed to come back to California and coast for a couple weeks until this fight and then go over to Boston. Like,
yeah, but it was in Mexico City.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Like, that was an advantage for Yair. Now it's gone. The price is the same. We come back to America. They set the line again on the second time around at Stephens minus 135. And then
it's only 3 rounds now, which I think will now.
And then the line moved to what we have now. So either that means that there's money coming in on Rodriguez or there's reverse line movement. So I'm interested to see how it plays out, but.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm sort of getting the sense that, especially if Stephens is emotional out there coming after him, that Yair just is quicker. He's lengthier. He'll stay on the outside. I don't think he's going to score a ton of points, but $8,100 is priced pretty fair. I don't love the fight. I think if he does win, it's probably going to be by way of decision. But here's one thing that we often forget about Jeremy Stephens. It was like 8 months ago that the guy was talking.
Were you Yair in the like? Did you pick him when they were in Mexico?
I think I did, and I didn't love it in Mexico, but I think I went with Yair. And one of those guys probably just went back to his regular routine, and one of those guys had a scratch retina for a few days, and then had to get back into the groove of things, and then had to go
fine.
over.
His eye looks crystal clear.
I'm sure he is.
Michael Bisping won a freaking UFC title with the glass eye. So
yeah. To be honest, I got nothing more to add on this fight. I think it's all mental warfare. I think again, I was trying to say Jeremy Stephens is talking about killing himself 6 to 8 months ago, saying he had to go see a sports psychologist, right? So now he gets this big fight in Mexico City. It's headlining a card. And now he's going to fight 2 weeks later, bumped down to the co-main event in Boston. I spent $30,000 on my training camp. I'm only getting 3 rounds now. I'm really pissed off. I'm going to kill this guy. If I don't kill Pantera, it's not a win. What the fuck are you talking about, dog? Fucking 29-28, 30-27, that's a win. I don't know what you're talking about. But if he's fighting with this... And I don't think he's playing mental warfare. I think he's mentally fucking off. So, anyways, I think we're disagreeing in the first 2. I'll go Reyes. You'll go Weidman. I'll go Stephens. I'll go Rodriguez. You'll go Stephens. But like, are we super confident here? No, it should be dicey enough. But we're definitely not on the same page for the first 2.
No, I think we're going to be on page for the next one. We have Greg Hardy taking on Ben SOSOLI. Greg Hardy, 9,300 minus 300 favorite. Ben SOSOLI, 6,900 plus 250. Greg Hardy, SOSOLI, so he had that eye poke.
Speaking of eye pokes.
Eye poke, no contest on Contender Series.
Dustin Johnson.
Against Johnson. And then all of a sudden he ends up taking on Greg Hardy. Like, you look at SOSOLI, he's basically a middleweight. Fighting at heavyweight.
He's 6 foot. He's not very big. Well, no, he's 265, but he's 6 foot.
Is he 260? Yeah, he's pretty thick. Okay, he's like light heavyweight at least then. Like, he could lose. There's 60 pounds for this guy to lose. He could be a middleweight, I think. I guess I'm fat shaming him. What an asshole I am. Either way, Greg Hardy,
put him on the keto
in
diet.
terms of athleticism, like there's such a mismatch here. Greg Hardy's obviously super green, but like the writing is on the wall here. SOSOLI's stand-up game, at least from limited stuff I saw, obviously I watched the first 2 minutes of that one fight before the eye poke. Like he really only seems to have, the left that he sets up, or was it a left or right? Yeah. So he sets up like that left, and then he had like a little cheap jab with his right. It's like
Mike Brown and Co will have it snuffed out pretty good.
I mean, it looked super fucking basic.
Yeah.
I think Greg Hardy's just gonna come crashing forward. Maybe he gets caught at some point, but this isn't the spot, man. I'm not fading Greg Hardy here.
Yeah, I think that it's not a spot you go all in on Greg Hardy. Whereas I get not fading him because clearly this is just another one of the many Greg Hardy opponents that have been set up for him to win, and not only win, look spectacular against. I just don't get the feeling that this is the type of spot that he should be a 3-1 in. Greg Hardy, for as polarizing as he is, when they give him the proper matchup, he walks in, he bulldozes these guys in a minute. Whereas Juan Adams probably wasn't the right matchup. He still gets the job done, knocks him out in 1 minute. Ben SOSOLI could be the exact same thing. The issue is that Ben SOSOLI never been knocked out, right?
Yeah.
And if he simply just survives the first 2 or 3 minutes, the same way that Alan Crowder once upon a time did, we still are assuming Greg Hardy's wheels are going to fall right off.
This guy is a world-class athlete, though.
And I'd be willing to find out the improvements he made.
Yeah.
240,
I think he's going to make improvements
220,
really, really
300's a
fast
big
is the
price.
thing, though. Like it's gonna be he's been fighting pretty regularly,
but he hasn't
and I
been
think
getting
every
the
like
rounds
4
in.
months that we see him, we're just gonna see him improving a lot. Like I don't know, like he's not gonna be a technical superstar, but he has athletic gifts that'll help him get over that hump in a lot of situations.
I think if you took the average person, right, and you said I'm going to train you to be an MMA fighter, and you book that average person with a little bit of training versus 10 actually good fighters, and he lost all 10. Not a big deal, I'm sure most people would. You lost to those 10 good guys, you're going to get some experience along the way, right? Had they just gotten you 10 homeless people and you beat 10 homeless people, I don't know that what you're really taking away. One guy's 10-0, beat 10 homeless people. One guy's 0-10, at least got rounds in, at least fought good guys, at least experienced stuff. Hardy's not experienced anything. The one time that he was experiencing rounds, the one time he not only got out of the first round, got out of the first few minutes of the round, he fucking knees the guy in the head while he's on the ground because he likely wants a way out. He looked completely gassed. He looked completely lethargic. SOSOLI has got a background. SOSOLI's got more pro experience. SOSOLI was on The Ultimate Fighter despite losing. He lost to the guy that eventually won the show, and he went to decision. All his other losses are by decision. There's a great chance that he's so much slower that Greg Hardy walks in, throws them coconuts right on top of his head, knocks him the fuck out. I completely agree. But herein lies the issue.
He's just so green that you don't want to be laying big numbers.
It's 300 is just quite simply too big of a price tag.
Fair enough.
But if you're playing DK,
you're gonna have it. You're gonna need exposure.
You're probably gonna want at least some shares of this guy. I think we can all agree on that. But 300
I'm
is a
sure
risky
he'll probably
price
be
tag.
like. There's a lot of options on this card, but I bet you he'll be at least 40% owned. Greg Hardy, at least. Maybe like 50.
But remember just recently, Jeff Hughes versus Todd Duffy. It's the same thing. Like one guy should probably just walk in and knock him out. And he almost did. But when he didn't, he was like, I got to get out of here. Fake the eye poke, right? Hardy was like, oh, dude, Crowder didn't go down. I'm just going to blast him on the face while he's on the ground with his knee.
Todd Duffy that day did not look like the Todd Duffy that was in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a no contest. Nobody lost.
All right, let's move on. We've got Jonathan Pearce taking on Joe Lauzon. Jonathan Pearce, 8,500 on DraftKings, a minus 150 favorite. Joe Lauzon, who's already talking in interviews about retiring, is 7,700 and plus 130. I was impressed with Pearce, not in the first round, but as the fight went on, kept a super, super high pace. That guy Rosales that he fought on the Contender Series Like, that kid took an absurd amount of damage. The finish at the end where he just like absolutely clocks him. Like, that kid was hurt. Probably shouldn't have even been still in that spot at this point, but this is MMA. So I see people like asking for like fights to be called early all the time and stuff like that. It's the last card people were like, oh, these fights are going on too long. It's like, my general take on this is like, while I understand that, we're sitting around on a Saturday night watching people punch each other in the head for fun. So, you know, these guys don't want to have the towel thrown in on them. So who am I to tell another man whether he can take more damage or not, if that's what he wants? Anyway, that was a little bit of a sidetrack.
Yeah, a sad sidetrack too. Got me fucking depressed, but all right.
Sorry. Yeah, this one, yeah. I mean, Joe's probably going to come out hot, but Joe has shown in the past, and this is before he was like, he's pretty washed at this point. He has shown in the past that he will slow down as the fight goes on. And the one thing I really liked of Pierce is the cardio. So the pricing does make sense to me on this fight. I lean Pierce, no bet yet, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. This one is sad in the sense that I think we all love Joe Lauzon. And yeah, could he pull out a Uriah Faber one last moment? Or, you know, get the win? Of course, it's MMA, but cards are definitely stacked against him. He's in a reverse position to what made him famous, you know? Like, this kid came on the scene because he knocked out Jens Pulver, right? And he was unheralded at the time. And now he's going to be passing the torch to another unheralded fighter who will likely knock him out. Because you got to know when to get out of the game. And he's not a guy that's ever taken care of himself, you know what I mean? Like, he hunted for bonuses. He gave up position to go for submissions. He fought like a banshee against guys like Kurt Warburton, who he shouldn't have, because he tried to entertain the fans every single time. And now you're seeing that he's not even competitive against Chris Grutzmacher. You get the sense that the end is near. But we're in Boston. We're going to pull out all the stops in Boston, baby. And here's the favorite child of Massachusetts, Joe Lauzon. We'll give him one last hurrah. We'll give him a what is a winnable fight, albeit not a fight that he's even the favorite in. And he's going to have to overcome some adversity. I just don't think he can take the damage anymore. I really don't.
Yeah.
The comparison...
If Pierce didn't have... Like, he just looks like he has very good cardio. Like, that guy was bombing away, and this kid did not tire. That is why... It's probably a stay away. I understand the whole narrative of Joe Lauzon back in Massachusetts. The crowd's going to be fired up and all that, but it's hard to bet on him at this point. He's already talking about this may be his last fight in interviews and stuff this week. I don't want to be betting on guys. Like, he's got retirement on the brain already.
Yeah, and I'm not going to make the whole he's probably got CTE on the brain as well, but yeah,
he kind of did.
He's taken some damage in his fights, and we want to see him go out properly. But he's getting this young, hot kid who's, Jonathan Pierce is out of the MMA lab. I don't want to be the guy to say it, but I guess because I took a shot at Lauzon, I might as well even out the playing field. But like, Pierce seems fucking dumb as a doorknob, man. Like, woof. Not particularly smart. This is what he does. He is a smart. He's No. I don't know. Just the impression I get off of him. But regardless, I mean, he's out of the MMA lab. He's scrappy. His takedown defense should be there enough that you just got to make Joe Lauzon work. Joe Lauzon has never had a good gas tank. Even prime Joe Lauzon does not have a good gas tank. And so if he doesn't go out there and get that huge finish early in the first round, he's not a knockout guy. He knocked out Pulver, knocked out Diego Sanchez, but not a big knockout guy. You could go for it. Maybe he gets a cut stoppage like the Kessa fight. I just don't think you can, with any vote of confidence, back him, especially the way that he was taken out against Grutzmacher. They had to have mercy on him. He's not taking a long layoff. He wants one more. We give all the legends one more. This guy is, in my opinion, a legend, just from what he's done for the company. We'll give him one more. But just like everybody we give one more to, not a good fight. You know, like, they didn't give BJ a good fight. They didn't give Faber a good fight, though he won. They don't say
on any unretired.
Yeah, here's no, that's what I mean. The Ricky Simon fight. That was a bad fucking fight to come back to. The kid's got your exact same skill set, and he's half your age. Not half your age, but you know what I'm saying. The guy's a younger man, and he's got your exact same
Brad
skill set.
Pickett was the perfect retirement fight.
That was the perfect retirement fight. He passed it. If you're going to pass on this, we're going to give you a tough fight. And Joe Lauzon notoriously turned down a contract offer one time from the UFC stating, you can keep some of the money. I don't want all that money, but I want right of refusal on these opponents because, like, I want to have fun fights that I can go out and get a bonus. and cheer on the fan, but I don't necessarily want to fight these top 5, top 10 contenders and get smoked out. I tried it. I fought Anthony Pettis in Japan. I got kicked in the fucking head. I'm done with that. I want some fun fights.
Yeah.
So no doubt he's had probably some say in fighting Jonathan Pearce. As some part of me thinks that he's at least looked at Jonathan Pearce as opposed to a couple other opponents and said, I'll take that guy.
Yeah.
But this is where you're at in your career, okay? One guy's looked good coming off the Contender Series, and one guy's the all-time bonus leader in UFC history. And it's just, they're crossing paths. And back to the Jens Pulver thing. Jens Pulver was a former UFC fucking champion. Beat BJ Penn for the lightweight title when BJ was BJ. Fought in Japan. Fought all the greats. And when he fought no-name Joe Lauzon, it was a young and up-and-comer who actually went on The Ultimate Fighter after that.
And Pulver was the coach.
And Pulver was the coach. Because that's the way the sport goes.
Good thing he wasn't on his team.
Could you imagine that?
Because you'd be like, oh, yeah, how about you tell me all about what to do in my fight? Yeah, because that worked when you fought me, pal.
Yeah, that worked the last time.
That would not be with how MMA fighters, the perceived.
Yeah.
Joe Lauzon's an interesting cat, though. We will miss him. He's a cool, like down to earth, like
one of the
normal
good
dude. That's a good guy in this sport.
His
Showed up to
legacy will
work
be
with his
felt.
lunch pail. I know that's all cliche and stuff, but yeah, thank you for all the fights.
And guys like Randy Costa, who are a protege of Joe Lauzon, gonna get fucked up. But you see the trend is moving. He'll be a great coach in that area, and I think he'll continue to do great things. Maybe not in the professional ranks.
All right, we move on down the card. We have Macy Barber taking on Jillian Robertson. Macy Barber is 8,300 on DraftKings, minus 130 favorite. Jillian Robertson, 7,900 plus 110. Who you got here, Cody?
Well, do you believe the hype or not? I mean, if we're all to believe,
I mean, I bought into hype last week, and
Right.
let's see what happened to me. Oh yeah, it was like the worst week. I bought into all the hype jobs. I'm gonna lay off the hype. Maybe not fade the hype, because this is the week that maybe the hype comes through.
maybe the hype.
Penny
comes
for
through.
your thoughts, though, first.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just feel like, again, the hype train's behind Macy Barber. I don't know if it's exactly in the same... It's almost like one with Greg Hardy, right? When there's a lot of people behind you, you get a better price than your skill set should show. Macy Barber,
She's been a massive favorite in all of her matchups, and then now they're laying out this number. That's the sneaky thing.
Because everybody realizes...
I haven't looked at like the Bet MMA tips page. I wonder if everyone's betting Macy Barber. Like if everyone's hammering.
No,
this
I
line.
don't think so. I think this is the week that a lot of people are trying to fade and go Jillian Anderson, because Jillian Anderson, if anything...
Have you actually looked or no?
What?
No,
No,
you haven't looked on the site?
No, I don't give a shit.
I'll try to look it up.
So what? A
while
bunch
you
of people
talk.
are betting one way.
I know.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see it sometimes.
Yeah, it's
though.
interesting to see at the end of the week and seeing a lot of the phony prices that
Like it's
people
just
have
like
come up
when you
with.
just see. No, I don't even care about that. I just care about seeing like sometimes you just see like everyone's betting on one side and the line just stays still. That's when you start panicking.
Yeah, I don't know if this will be
Because
the
that
case.
kind of happened with the Dern fight last week. That's what it was.
So you're saying that it's just gonna...
Nobody was betting Rivas.
Which is why she won. Is that what you're telling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, okay. Well, Jillian Robertson appears to be a better grappler. And what's Macy Barber's thing? You know, she's rambunctious. She likes to close the pocket. She likes to throw elbows. She's young. She's exciting. But you can take this girl down. You can get this girl down. You can out-hustle her. There's ways to defeat her. And because she's undefeated, because she's a pretty girl, it just seems like there's a lot of momentum behind her. She's talking about being the youngest champion in UFC history and defeating John Jones's record, and then tries to call out people that are not even remotely in her level, like trying to fight Paige Van Zandt, for example. Like, why are you trying to fight her if you're talking about being the youngest champion in UFC history? Just doesn't make any sense. But that's just a young person in general, man. You got these great ideas. Everybody around you is telling you that you're going to be the next big star. You've got it written on your fridge at home. Oh, I got this long to become the next champion. You're getting it all in. You know, Aspen Ladd was kind of the same way. I think your head, it gets to you, and all of a sudden you believe you're much better than you are, and then you get a humbling experience. Every undefeated fighter, for the exception of the one John Jones, gonna get that humbling experience.
Well, it wasn't humbling for Aspen Ladd, your baby, because
yeah, well,
because
no,
it
that's
was
a problem.
obviously
That's a problem that she didn't own up
It was
to.
obviously discrimination, Cody. Clearly.
Yeah, fucking Herb Dean.
That's a bad look. I was gonna leave. I was gonna leave your baby alone, but it's a terrible look.
Trust me. I know.
Like I don't know who's on her management team, but like that's not gonna win you any fans.
Flat out appealing it was a bad look.
People are
and then the quotes that come
laughing
from
at the situation.
Yeah,
like maybe there is something like in fairness, like Herb Dean basically let Chris Weidman die that day against Luke Rockhold after like the spin kick takedown. And then he did jump in maybe a little bit early, but these things just happen in MMA. The way that she fell forward. Like, it was just a bad look, and she didn't really react well. She just kind of went to, like, hands and knees and waited for a second punch. You could have let her get in with a couple punches there, but
I'll tell you why I
don't think it was sexist.
It wasn't sexist at all. This is my biggest point that I took from it, okay? I'm at the weigh-ins, and I watch somebody almost fucking die on the scale. Okay, she looks awful.
True, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was big.
She's like seizure. I go on
that
Twitter.
Scene the day before does not help out her situation with Herb because Herb's watching that.
Yo, Holmes,
he's an official. He's got to know about somebody having a bad weight cut like that.
Dude, I'm thinking this fight's not going to happen, right? The commission surely is not going to let this fight happen, but they do. And Herb, being the responsible veteran that he is, says, I'm going to keep an extra close eye on this girl because she's definitely drained out. Something could be wrong. I'm going to keep an extra close eye, okay? The fight starts. The very first punch she takes, she folds to the ground. Does that not scream something's wrong with her? Yes, something's wrong with her. Now is the time where you step in and stop the fight because it's just going to get worse from this. And then on the miraculous chance that she manages to stand back up, Jermaine Durandamy is still going to be standing there and going to put her right the buck back down. So, I don't know. I have no problem with what Herb did. Getting back to this is
who wins? Macy Barber or Jillian Robertson?
It's ownership, right? And in Macy Barber's case, you got to look back at let's look at the quick run in the UFC. The Hannah Cifers fight matched up. Hey, I matched up great with Cifers. Didn't look good in the first round. Found a way to win in the second. The last fight against JJ Aldridge, she got dropped in the first round. Didn't look good in the first round. Lost the first round. Found a way to win in the second round. I don't know that Jillian Robertson's that kind of opponent. She typically kind of gets better as the fight progresses as well. She has I don't know, I think she's a black belt. Regardless, she's got the grappling advantage. I think she's got the wrestling advantage. I'm going to give cardio to Barber. I'm going to give striking to Barber. I'm going to give size slightly to Barber. This is a close, dicey fight. Yeah. It's priced accordingly.
And you
got to
go
with one of them.
I went on to that site. I looked, and honestly, people are pretty split. So
I think
I was thinking everyone was going to be jumping on the hype train, but yeah, no, people are on both.
Dog or pass.
People are on both sides. So
when I get to my dirty parlay, chances are I'll cower down and go Barber. But I think it's a dog or pass fight.
Fair enough. All right, we've got Deron Winn taking on Darren Stewart. Deron Winn is 8,200 minus 125 favorite. Darren Stewart 8,000 plus 105. All right, so this was like a pick 'em yesterday, and I didn't bet it. I wish I did. I don't understand this line at all.
I don't either. This will be my parlay.
This is a fucking smash play for Deron Winn.
Yeah, this will be my.
Like I know he's small, he's way outsized, but like Darren Stewart has made a lot of improvements. But the path to victory is still the wrestling. I know that Deron Winn was going against Spicely. He worked on them hands and he got hit. He got hit on the feet. Don't get me wrong, but it's like he's not using his wrestling in that spot because that's the only place that Spicely can hurt him. You know what? Where the Darren Stewart's not going to do here? Hurt Deron Winn on the ground. We go for the takedowns. We go for them early. This guy is, DC's protege. He's not, the Olympian that DC was, but the guy's a good wrestler.
Guy's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast. And he's super small. He's going to be able to get these takedowns. He's going to go for those takedowns. He has good coaching. Like, in my opinion, this is like, it's almost too good to be true. And that is my one concern. It's just like, I know. I don't understand. I'm happy to see the line moving towards what I think is the clear play. At least that means that like the books are starting to react to it. Maybe there wasn't very much action on it. People, there's so many UFC cards. It's like people only start to focus on the lines when they, focus on the card that week. But this seems like an absolute smash play. I will have Deron Winn on my DraftKings lineup, 8,200, and I'll be betting him too.
Yeah, I agree. It just seems almost too good to be true. When the fight first got announced, I was like, yeah, definitely going to go win for the win one more time. But I wonder what the price is going to be. Then when it came out, oh, man.
Yeah, man.
People are into Darren Stewart. Maybe it's a case of MMA math. Maybe you look at it like, oh, Darren Winn didn't look overly good against Eric Spicely, and we got the dentist here rearranged him. So
styles make fights, as Cody Saftic likes to say.
Yeah, and one thing that I'll give Darren Stewart is that he's actually worked a lot on his wrestling. Being that he is a striker, he realizes most guys want to take him down. He's 100% made that effort to shore up that game plan. But there's certain guys you just can't quite get ready for. And if Darren Wynn goes in with the game plan of just quite simply take this guy down, he should do that. For guys that need a quick recap on him, he was a 3-time state wrestling champion in high school. He was a 2-time junior college national champion. He was also a 3-time All-American. He tried out he's won a pile of international awards and all that stuff, like trophies. Placed at all. It was he was on the national team for a few years. Tried out for the 2016 Olympics, didn't make it. Now he's into MMA. The most impressive thing here is AKA, they're huge on social media. They're always posting all types of stuff, right? I saw this whole video log series where it's like Khabib and DC going back and forth, and Khabib would be like, DC is my cousin from Dagestan, this big old Hulk Rusher. And it'd be a bunch of guys, it's always Islam Makhachev and Khabib. They're always rifling on DC, you wrestle him, he's a good wrestler. DC would be like, Khabib, Habibi, I told you, I'm retired. You want some Darren Wynn? Darren Wynn is his hitman at this point. Darren Wynn is the guy that's just like, oh yeah, some Russian dude's coming in here and they're joking around with DC, but hey, some American guy's got to step up and take this guy down. It's just he's the guy. He's in the prime of his career. 2016 Olympics he misses out on. He's undersized, but he's just like DC, right? And DC really the whole size disadvantage thing really only caught up with him late.
And it's when you're that low to the ground, you're getting underneath them hips.
But similar to DC, he's working on his hands. He realizes he's got the wrestling in his back pocket, and I got to work on my hands. When I get Eric Spicely doesn't pose a whole lot of problems. So just like we're saying with Greg Hardy, get rounds in. And that's where AKA is a little bit smarter, right? Look at Khabib versus Ali Quinta. I could take this guy down and route him, but I want to get some rounds in. I want to work on my hands. What's the improvement he makes on his hands? He drops Conor McGregor. He goes out and wins striking exchanges against Dustin Poirier. You got to get live action rounds, because fighting with a 16-ounce glove in the gym with headgear when you're going 75% is not going to quite do it. But you take that time. You improve from that. Darren Wynn could have just held down Eric Spicely, but again, Spicely's a grappler. His best path was to get the fight to the ground somehow, whether that be him on top of you and try to throw up his submission. So he played the smart route. He worked on his hands. The Tom Lawler fight, he worked on his hands. This is another fight. His hands are improving, but fuck it, dude. Let's not work the hands here. You got to get this fight to the ground, take this guy down, smash him up. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. I think the price tag is definitely there. The one thing that I will admit is that Darren Wynn was a finisher when he was fighting cans. Since he's fought in decent levels, he's not getting the finish. He should have knocked out Spicely, who maybe has a questionable chin. Didn't even come. Well, I mean, it was a fun fight. And then the Tom Lawler fight. Talk about questionable chins. Tom Lawler's fighting up a weight class as well. And he's been professional wrestling the last 2 years. You should have knocked him out as well. Didn't knock him out. So I don't know that he goes out there and puts it on Darren Stewart and gets the finish, or if he just positionally holds him down and gets the win. So I'm a little bit hesitant, even though I love the money line. I don't really love $8,200 on DraftKings.
He may not be able to get back up, I guess. He takes him down once.
Yeah, did DC ever pass to side control and then go to mount? No, he held down half guard and pounded him from half guard. That's what they do. They're
I'll let
smart.
you do the Iron Man this week then, because I am...
Did you WINN on Iron Man?
No.
Okay, well, yeah, neither did I.
We had Dern and Kron Gracie on that lineup. It was not good. Anyway, yeah, Deron Wynn. Loaded up for me. Manny Bermudez takes on Charles Rosa. Manny Bermudez is 8,700 minus 140 favorite. Charles Rosa 7,500 plus 120. Who you got here?
I got to talk myself into a real dog here. Like Julian Robertson was the only one that felt like it was a decent enough spot. It's plus 110. It's just not enough. I could see Rosa winning. But the 30-month layoff because of a neck injury, like who in their right mind puts money on that? So because of that, it seems like a hard pass. But Manny Bermudez, for as much as people are giving him, he does have the grappling advantage. I totally agree. They're both from the area. I think he's from like South Shore. But Charles Rosa is physically, isn't it nicknamed Boston Strong? Like he's going to have the hometown pop. If he's in decent enough shape, here's the big thing. Rosa's got a gas tank. Rosa can go multiple rounds. At least he could. The last time we saw him. He could take the fight into deeper waters. I don't know that Manny Bermudez can do that. Then you got to factor in this, okay?
Rosa's never been subbed.
Rosa's got good submission defense, right? Manny Bermudez seems to be submit you as quick as possible.
But he's got that type of dynamic submissions that's like, even if Rosa, he's never faced somebody with the same dynamic type of attacks, I guess.
Yeah, and I've seen people with sore necks, and for whatever reason, they come into the gym, they hit the bag, but they don't grapple because it's hard to grapple with a bad neck. So, like, has he made any improvements to his grappling? I don't know. Is Manny Bermudez the better grappler? Yes. Is Manny Bermudez the better wrestler? He's a terrible wrestler. But, like, maybe he could get this fight to the ground. But just like you're talking about Kron and them, it's like they only really have one skill here. That's the ground game. Kron went for it. I'll give him that. But in this case, it's like Bermudez is not a good striker. He's not a good wrestler. If the fight goes to the ground and he's flailed around against lesser opponents and gotten the fight to the ground, then he can win. But in this case, I get the sense that like if Charles Rosa even made some improvements, I think he's a better fighter.
It's hard to trust with the layoff, though.
Very hard to trust. So because we're saying, oh, geez, he's so hard to trust, is that favor us into Bermudez? No, because here's another thing with Bermudez. Bermudez loses his last fight, okay? Over Casey Keeney. Casey Keeney's a flyweight. The fight's booked for 35. This dude comes in at 140. Casey Keeney's so gangster, he takes the fight anyways. The next day, Casey Keeney re-weighs in at like 140. Manny Bermudez weighs in at like 162. He's huge. It didn't matter. He had that huge size advantage. It just didn't matter. So I hear people saying here, he's going to still be bigger than Rosa, even though he's moving up a weight class. UFC forced him to move a weight class. He's going to be bigger. But it's like we're talking with Weidman and these grapplers. And in this guy's case, he's not even a very good wrestler to begin with. And now he's moving up weight classes, taking on a guy that trained at American Top Team for many years. It just screams that because of the neck, you should just pass clear. But again, because I almost feel like I'm chasing what looks like an appeasing enough dog, Rosa has some upside. There's something there, but the smart play just passed.
I can't trust him with
Fair
the
enough.
layoff.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I don't know. It's still another one I got to think about a little bit more this week. Officially, I guess pick on the show will be Bermudez, but yeah, it's a pass from a betting perspective for me right now. We got Molly McCann taking on Diana BELBITA. Molly McCann, 9,400, biggest favorite on the card at minus 500. Diana BELBITA is 6,800 and plus 400. I'll let you talk about this first. I have things to say, but I'll let you do it first before I go off the tracks.
Yeah, it's just the hardest of the hard passes. I think that if you like Molly McCann, most people like Molly McCann, you can't pay minus 500. And we've seen so many examples recently where it's like some of these outrageous price tags and fights that you expect to be a blowout one way just doesn't happen that way. And this is a case. Molly McCann is better everywhere. Molly McCann, even though she's giving up size advantage, she always does. She's the meatball, right? She's tiny and she has no reach and she has no height.
Like 6.5 inches of reach.
Yeah, but she generally gives up.
Significant, but then you continue.
Right. The way she fights, it's not as if you're both hanging out on the outside. She just crashes forward all the time. So she makes up for that reach advantage all of the time. Okay, fair. So how do you get Molly McCann off of you? Well, you need to take her down. That's been the way to beat her. We've seen in her losses, that's the way to beat her. Has she looked spectacular in the UFC? No. But the only person that managed to get the victory over, Jillian Robertson, just took her down. This is a case against BELBITA. BELBITA is a Romanian kickboxer. She doesn't have a ground game. Her takedown defense is massively suspect. In fact, Molly McCann would be well advised to just take her down.
I think so.
I don't think she will, but I think
she will.
It would be a great game.
She has shown that she has been like wanting to prove that she has worked on her ground game. Yeah, she's done that a bunch actually already.
And against elite grapplers and wrestlers, I think she's in trouble. Maybe that's when she tries to keep it up. But against this type of opponent, she'll be okay. So now we're talking about BELBITA as a Romanian kickboxer. Is her kickboxing pedigree good enough to win these striking exchanges? If she stuffs the takedowns, could she beat Molly McCann in a striking battle? I'm just not seeing it. The other problem is that it's almost like a Muay Thai kickboxing blend, and it just allows her to get outboxed. Molly McCann doesn't got great kicks. She's got decent boxing. And that's what she'll do. She'll just get in the pocket. She'll outbox her in close range. She'll hold her up against the cage. She'll pin her to the ground. She could win. However, minus 500 in your dreams. 9,400? That's not going to happen. So, whereas everyone says BELBITA is a can crusher, just be careful here, right? Certain guys like Shabazian. What's his first name? Why am I mixing this up?
He's not Romanian.
No, he's not Romanian. He's
Edmund Shabazian.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's Armenian.
Armenian, yeah.
Yeah, but he can crush a whole lot of guys. And then when he gets to the big show...
everybody can crushes a bunch of guys.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is when you get there...
Levels to these levels, though.
When you get there, without having taken any damage for the most part, when you get there, it's just like, oh, dude, all he's done is crush cans. It's like, yeah, he's actually not all that bad. Or it goes the other way, like his brother, and they're not all that good. I'm expecting Molly McCann get the victory here. But for minus 500, I don't want to find out that BELBITA is actually not that bad. I don't want to find out. I want to pass. So this has nothing for me on DK. It has nothing for me on... It was 350, I think, when it opened. And that, to me, was a little too much. But if you crush it at that and you win, good on you.
I posted a tweet about it. And then I didn't get around to looking at any BELBITA tape until, a day later. And then when I saw the BELBITA tape... Cody, you were giving me some heat last week. You're like, oh, you know what?
Do you think Hassan versus BELBITA?
You used to come onto this show and talk about people being the worst fighter of all time. Diana BELBITA is the worst fighter on the UFC roster right now.
You're going there.
She got into the UFC off of a win over a opponent making their MMA debut. She got submitted first round by Christina Stancu. That Romanian,
a great grappler in Romania.
That local Romanian circuit, that RXF, is egregious how bad it is. It's Soccer Mom Central, man. Like, watching the exchanges that she got herself into, watching the trouble that she got, like she eats like a big, I know that this is probably a while ago. She's probably made improvements since then, but like against Stancu, it's like she eats this head kick and then like just flails her arm out there. Yeah. And then she just grabs it, has no defense against it. Like I couldn't believe what I was watching, man. And then like even against in her last fight that got her into the UFC, she's taking on somebody making their debut, and trust me, they look like they were making their debut. And like it was pretty freaking competitive until she got her on the ground and found an armbar from guard. She was underneath this person. Dude, this is it. This is it. I know that like you called me out on it last week, and this is not intentional. I watched that tape and I can't think of a situation where she wins. But yeah, minus 500 on Molly McCann. I just can't. Because like I don't think Molly McCann is some sort of world beater either. I think she is way better everywhere. I see her winning this quite easily, but I'm not going to attach myself to a minus 500 price tag. You know what? Minus 350. I probably would have if I had watched the tape on that. Well,
yeah, I'm sorry you're getting a minus 500 viewers at home, but for those of you who don't know,
600 by the time they see this.
Paul's bit used to be identifying the worst fighter in the UFC, and he's 6 for 6 on worst fighter in the UFC fades. So yeah, you're not getting a great price tag here. However, I want to see if the streak does continue. And yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I'm in agreement with you, but I just don't like big price tags on these type of middling affairs.
We got Kyle Bochniak taking on Sean Woodson. Kyle Bochniak, 8,400, minus 135 favorite. Sean Woodson, 7,800, plus 115. Who you got here?
Yeah, I don't know. Is home cooking a real thing? Because if so, maybe Bochniak squeezes it by. He's in a lot of close fights.
Woodson
He's in
from?
a lot of... I just looked at it and it was Illinois? Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from St. Louis. So yeah, I think he's got the goods to beat Bochniak. I mean, but it's going to be a close fight. Bochniak's in close fights.
Boston may have a bit of a home field advantage type of feel. Like I think they're going to be they're a very passionate sports city, obviously. They win so many championships. Most of the world kind of hates them for it. It's mostly out of jealousy. Yeah, they're supportive of their guys for sure.
For sure, they're supportive of their guys. The crowd's always behind them. The judges typically tend to be behind them. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And it could go one of two ways for you. If you fade the guy, the hometown guy, and it's a close fight and you lose, it is what it is. But in a case like Molly McCann, just to go back to that fight really quickly, how would the worst fighter in the UFC pick up a win? Just like Priscilla Cachoeira, who was this close to getting a cut stoppage in a fight she clearly lost. But in Boston, he'd be like, that? What are you talking about? Get back in there. So that cut stoppage not going to happen.
No, I know.
That's
why I would never touch McCann at minus 500. She almost lost to catch a beating.
Yeah. My problem with Kyle Bochniak is that even though, yeah, he's going to be, I suppose, the hometown guy. You know, he's from Massachusetts. He was signed to the UFC because he was Peter Welsh's guy. Peter Welsh is a well-known boxing coach in the Massachusetts area who's good friends with Dana White. But outside of that, like at what point in his UFC tenure have you been utterly impressed, right? He loses to Charles Rosa in Boston, which he lost a clean decision. He robbed Enrique Barzola, so he should be 0-2 there because that was a flat-out robbery. That split in Vancouver. He loses to Jeremy Kennedy, that'd be 0-3. He wins Brandon Davis, in which he actually just out-grappled Brandon Davis. Very strange. Then he lost to Zabit Zabit hurt himself in the 3rd round. This dude came on in the 3rd round. Prior to that, he just got lit up. But we're impressed with that. The talk is that we're impressed with that. And then Hakeem Dawodu defeats him. He's got heart and he's got a chin. And he's got the 2 things that you can't actually teach a fighter. But all the other things that you can teach a fighter, he just haven't really seemed to pick them up. Because where is he good? Is his striking good? No, he doesn't really throw a whole lot of punches. He stays at distance. He wings shots. If he gets pissed off enough like the Zabit fight, maybe he pressures you. His hands are always down. He's very hittable. His wrestling, outside of that Davis fight, I don't think it's very good.
It's pretty average at best.
He's very average at best.
I wouldn't want to trust in him to be like, I think he's got a grappling advantage. He has to go out there and get takedowns. Like, I wouldn't feel very confident if that was my mentality about how Bochniak wins this fight. I'll tell you that much.
100%, right? So now it's like, okay, well, how about his opponent, Sean Woodson? One thing that you got to realize right off the hop with Sean Woodson, 27 years old, he's 6'2" with a 79-inch reach, Paul, at 145 pounds, right? Whereas my boy Louis Pena sure as hell fucking let me down. You got to admit, having that kind of size and range is going to be big, especially because Bochniak is shorter, stays there, and if he tries to crash the pocket, it's his nickname, Crash. If he tries to crash the pocket and come forward, like I just think he's going to get picked off. Woodson's actually comes in as a decent-sized underdog against that Terrence McKinney, plus 215 dog on Contender Series. McKinney is a wrestling dynamo. McKinney takes him down like nothing. McKinney takes his back in the 1st round and has his way. That 2nd round, he has his split opportunity, smokes him with a flying knee, knocks him out. He's rangy. He's got a great
McKinney got
gas
tired,
tank.
though.
Yeah, and this kid didn't get tired. Woodson didn't get tired.
Yeah, and Bochniak's not going to get really tired either. Though,
I think this kid's going to have much better output because he's going to stay on the outside. I think he just picks away at him. The one concern is, how is Bochniak going to get a job done? He's going to get him up against the cage. He's going to take him down. Yeah. But he just fought Terrence McKinney, who's a way better wrestler. And even though he was getting taken down, he shows you that when he does get taken down, he's fine. He can defend submissions. He can work his way back up, and then he can make you pay. Now, Bochniak's got a hell of a chin on him. So a spectacular flying knee would get the job done against anybody, but you can't rely on that shit.
No.
He's going to have to fight a smart game plan of staying on the outside and picking him off. But if we're talking about home cooking, it makes you worried. This is a dog that I can't pass on. At least he's plus 115. I'll
Woodson.
take it. But I'm gonna be really pissed off when I sit there at the end of the fight and be like, Woodson won that shit and lose a split, because I'm always pissed off.
Because Bochniak got a couple takedowns at the end of a round.
Because he held him up against the cage. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but that shit does happen. So just beware of that.
We have Boston Salmon taking on Randy Costa, 8,600 Boston Salmon. His name's Boston. He's fighting in Boston. I mean, how could he lose? He is minus 170 favorite. Randy Costa, 7,600 plus 150. It sounded like when we were talking about Joe LAUZON that you had a hot take on this one, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, well, actually, so it's weird because Boston Salmon out of Vegas, and then Randy Costa is the local
but
guy
his name's
to the
Boston,
area.
so
No, I know. His name's
home
Boston.
cooking. They'll be like, okay, his name's Boston.
Especially if some of those judges perhaps have a couple of drinks before the event starts, and they're just like, yeah, Boston. They wouldn't even look. They wouldn't realize it's a Hawaiian guy fighting out of Las Vegas. But all the same, I'm not impressed at Randy Costa. You talked about worst fighter in the UFC. It's not him. However, he is just such a strong argument for why the idea of UFC level does not exist. He's as regional show fighter as regional show fighter gets. He doesn't have a ton of experience. He turned pro literally 1 year ago. His pro debut here, Paul, happens in June of 2018. Okay? He's been fighting professionally for 16 months. He's in the UFC. He lost to Brandon Davis, who choked him out. That is one of those fights in said 16 months. And he's fighting in the UFC? Like, it just makes no sense. But
Brandon Davis choked him out.
Brandon Davis choked him out. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like he just out-bopped him from the feet.
That is a statement.
Now,
that is a statement that, you probably never thought you would say on this program.
No. And take it from me. I've watched a lot of amateur fights. And one thing that you always see in amateur fighters is that they're super antsy. There's a lot of energy. They get out there. It's almost like the difference between pro and amateur boxing, right? When you look at amateur boxing, a lot of movement. The guys are moving on the outside. They're using their jab. They're trying to score points. When you look at the pro rank, it's way slower. There's more of like a shoulder roll. There's more of a, you don't waste all that movement with extra steps. That's how Randy Costa fights like an amateur. He goes out there and just tries to finish the fight as quick as humanly possible. So his pro debut, the guy's 0-4. He beats him in 46 seconds. His second fight, the guy's 0-0. And I know Kenny Lewis, by the way, personally. He beats Kenny Lewis by head kick in 11 seconds. He's now 2-0 as a pro and has less than a minute cage time. Then he meets Chris Thorne, 5-9. He beats Rob Fuller, 0-1. You were talking shit against BELBITA's opposition, saying essentially she's fighting debuting opponents. Randy Costa has fought less than that. He's fought in debuting opponents, and he's fought in opponents with egregiously bad lopsided win-loss
I already
records.
decided who is the worst UFC fighter.
No.
Are you trying to get me to put a label on another fighter on the same card?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he was, to me, why there's just this idea of, let's say this guy got cut, okay? And you brought him into your promotion under the pretense of UFC veteran. It's a fucking sham. He shouldn't have been in there in the first place. But he was Joe Lauzon's buddy. He's his student. He's 4-0 with 4 first-round finishes. Let's ride this kid. He doesn't got a gas tank. The problem with Davis is he didn't look bad for the first 2 or 3 minutes. Then he got tired, which is expected because he's never been to this deep waters before. And this ain't even deep waters. This is just 3-4 minutes. Then he gets choked out in the second round after completely getting exhausted. Now he's going to come in against Boston Salmon. Salmon lost his last fight in 25 seconds against Taha, but would you want to get hit by Taha? Like, the guy is an absolute wrecking machine at 135. Like, he's just got massively heavy hands. He caught Boston Salmon, c'est la vie. There's no discrediting Boston Salmon's striking abilities, and I'm not questioning his chin either. I think he's a way better technical boxer, and I think that's all he needs to get the win over Randy here, is that he's just going to stay on the outside. Inside doesn't matter. He's just going to beat him, and as soon as Costa starts to get tired and eventually gets gassed out, then I think maybe there's a chance that Boston Salmon puts him away. But at the very least, I'm more comfortable in the money line.
Salmon or Salmon? You said both.
I think it's Salmon.
I think it's Salmon?
What,
I thought it was Josh Salmon.
Okay.
I think it's
Salmon and Salmon.
And I cited his pricing wrong. So Boston Salmon was 9,000. He's 9,000 on DraftKings.
But is the money line the same?
Money line, you should be fine, yes.
So again, minus 170 on the money line. I'm into that. The 9,000 on DraftKings, I am not into.
Randy Costa is 7,200. So when people are like, "Hey, you had the pricing wrong," yeah, it was wrong on the page for sure.
Yeah, and I think some people say, "Hey, dude, Randy Costa punt play? He's finished 4 guys in under a minute. Boston Salmon just got finished in 35 seconds. It's like, you remember that analogy I said about the homeless people? Like, there's levels to this shit. Boston Salmon, again, he trains on a day-to-day basis with far more than he should encounter come Friday. So I'll go with Boston to get the win in Boston.
We got Sean Brady taking on Court McGee. Sean Brady, 9,200 on DraftKings, minus 225 favorite. Court McGee is 7,000 plus 185. Is Court McGee dust? I like betting Court MGEE when it's at altitude more than I do about.
When he's got.
We're at sea level now. It's just like I need to. The only argument you can ever have for him is that like the guy's got good cardio. The guy's died like twice. You know he's gonna keep moving forward.
Absolutely,
he's got to be able to overcome his athletic deficiencies with cardio and pace. And I don't know enough about Sean Brady yet. What about what's your take here?
Yeah. And when he's overcoming these guys with his own cardio, they also have to have suspect cardio. His wins over Dominique Steele and Alex Garcia, both by decision, don't exactly do a whole lot to inspire you. He's grinding on guys that get gassed out after 5 or 6 minutes. Brady's making his debut. There's every reason to believe that maybe he gasses out under the bright lights.
10-0.
Like, he looks good, man. He looks like there's no such thing as UFC caliber. Like, he's a guy that did it the right way. He's 10-0. He won the CFFC championship.
Yeah.
He's fought in good guys. He trains out of a good gym with good training partners. They didn't rush this kid at 4-0. They didn't rush this kid at 6-0.
Good.
This guy earned it the hard way. And now, as a result, he's a fucking BJJ black belt under Daniel Gracie. He trains with Henzo, not full-time. Spends time out there. What's there not to like? And you know what? He can kind of do it all. And when we're talking about Kyle Bochniak, he does it all. Not very good. This kid's got decent wrestling. He's got good grappling. He's got good striking. His ring IQ seems to check out. He's a legitimate prospect. Do I think he'll ever get to the top 10? Man, that's a hell of a thing to put on somebody. Like, top 10's tough. I don't know. But he'll go a long way improving what he's capable of. They're giving him a former Ultimate Fighter winner who's got a lot of fights in the UFC, who's got a bit of a name, albeit not to casuals, because he just never really got over with them. He's got a great story.
You always say albeit. Albeit.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I mispronounce a lot of words because I talk so fast. I'm sure you've noticed.
No, but yeah, albeit is one of them.
We only got like an hour and 10 minutes to squeeze in all these fights every week.
I know.
I just get in here and I go.
Albeit.
That's why people are always like, man, Paul, stop cutting him off. It's like, yo, you don't understand.
You know, actively, you are right.
You
I
have
shouldn't have cut you off in that spot. Carry on.
Okay, so
I'll take the blame for that one. I just cut you off again.
well, Sean Brady is got a couple things going for him. He's better all around. He doesn't have the experience, but he's better all around. It's a great spot for him. He's from Pennsylvania. That ain't Boston, but at least he's kind of from that East Coast thing. I think he's going to be just all right. 225 is a good price tag. 9,200. I mean, yeah, Santiago Ponzinibbio knocked out Court McGee, but we know how tough this guy is. And he's able to grind his fights a lot of times to like real boring ass, not boring, but just like he knows how to slow down paces of his fights with his own style. So I'm not huge to run to the 9,200, but I think 225 is pretty good. And then last and finally, if for whatever reason, there's a good chance Court McGee's gone to decision in his last 5 fights. In fact, he's been to decision in, I think, 12 of his last 13 fights. Good chance it goes to decision. If it goes to decision, you think they're not going to give the win to Brady in Boston? They love Brady. He's getting it for sure. They're not even going to look his name Sean.
Yeah.
Brady.
Lock it in.
It's over, dog. Over.
It is over.
So, yeah, give me Sean Brady. 225 is good.
You
price
should have
tag.
just led with that. We didn't even have to talk about the fight. Yeah, there's no way a guy named Brady loses.
No, in fact,
Boston.
yeah. In fact, his gloves are going to be deflated. So we're talking like an ounce of padding on them shits. It's just like, maybe give Court McGee, I'm just going to leave this here syringe here. And I'm just going to leave the room for 10 minutes while you warm up. You think he's still going to go to the fight? Nah, dog. He's not going to the fight. He's going to be in New Mexico in a basement apartment. And you ain't going to see him for 10 days. At the very least. So you just got to buyers beware there. And that's all I got to say about that.
We got Kevin Holland taking on Brendan Allen. Kevin Holland, 8,900 or minus 165 favorite. Brendan Allen, 7,300 and plus 145. Kevin Holland's always in like super sloppy, wild fights. Like that Mearshart fight.
They're fun, but they're very sloppy.
They're very sloppy. I don't have a good grasp on this fight yet, do you?
Yeah, well, Brendan Allen and this guy, kid, I'd say is my boy. You know, on the LFA circuit, thought he was really good. Lost to Eric Anders back when Anders was supposed to be really good, and he gave a good account of himself. Lost to Anthony Hernandez again for the LFA title, but you can see where this kid's going to be okay. And since then, 4-fight winning streak looked good. He beat Moses Murrieta for the LFA title finally. Went 5 rounds. Cardio didn't look like it was an issue. Against Aaron Jeffrey. Aaron Jeffrey, we're very familiar with him, local Ontario guy. He diced him out of there, like very fast. Rear naked choke 3.5 minutes into the first round. I finally think like he is hitting his stride. He's a good grappler. He's got decent size for the division. He'll be okay. He's supposed to take on Eric Spicely. Fun enough fight. Spicely's also a grappler. Spicely showed against Win that, you know, maybe his durability is not a huge question. It'd be a fun fight for Brendan Allen to officially make his UFC debut, but I think one that he's going to win. Only Eric Spicely bails out and you get Kevin Holland on a week's notice. Kevin Holland's going to get tired regardless. And taking a fight on a week's notice doesn't seem great for him. The other issue is that he does, like, his striking, there's no power behind it. It's like flim-flam bullshit. He throws like karate chops and like step in, like, I don't know, man. But I just don't see it being super effective. His grappling, not that it's bad, but he relies on his opponent getting, like that Gerald Mearshart fight. Mearshart's a better grappler. Proved he was a better grappler. Unfortunately, he got really tired really fast and then it turned into a sloppy fight. Kevin Holland's next fight against DiCirico, he should not have won that fight. There's more of an argument that he won the fight prior against Gerald Mearshart, but a lot of people don't think he won that fight. So I mean,
that fight was so fucking ridiculous.
Dude, they're all ridiculous. Yeah. But Allen's not like that. He's way more of a strategic tactician. I think he's got the cardio. I think he's got the grappling. And you know what? It's not like he's completely lost on his feet either. I think he could outstrike Kevin Holland, at least certainly long enough to get him down. And Kevin Holland, because he's so tall, you can control him against the cage. You can get him down. I expect Allen to do that.
So 7,300.
Yeah, Brendan Allen, he's plus 145. Listen, last week I took a whole lot of favorites and a lot of them did hit, but it's like, you know, no riches for the cowards here. So we got to get at least a couple dog plays that we feel okay about. And Sean Woodson plus 115, it's not a great price tag, so take it for what it is. The other one, Jillian Robertson plus 110, you know, it's pretty even money. I don't like her as much as I like Woodson, by the way, but at least here's one I can get behind. Plus 145, that's real dog price, $7,300, good enough for me. Holland's tough to put away. But because this fight's got so much going on, maybe he gets a decent score. So DK, I'm open to it because it's going to save me money. And the money line, I need a dog. Lord hates a coward.
And finally, we have a heavyweight tilt between Tanner the Hoser. I believe that was the nickname that we got for his fight that was scrapped against Giacomo Lemos.
Wasn't it? Did they change his nickname?
I just call him.
Oh,
I call him the
okay,
Hoser
okay.
because he's Canadian. His
I was
name,
like, he's the bulldozer.
I know he's the bulldozer. He's 8,600. He's taking on Daniel SPITZ, who, like, people who listen to this for a long time know how I feel, is 7,600 and a plus 120. I'm not betting SPITZ at any time. A heavyweight with he's got long reach, and that's about it. I don't see very much power behind any of these hands. Like, this guy's awful. I did actually. I think I bet SPITZ against Anthony Hamilton, I believe.
Of course you did.
Because it's just like
by knockout,
people
and
are
it
like, he's got no power, and I'm like, I
doesn't.
agree, but you don't need any power. So like, I think that's the only time I was ever on. I think that's the only time I've ever bet on him was that fight. All the other times I fade him. The guy's not very good. BOSER doesn't seem like anything special to me. I would lean towards him, but not a fight I'm very particularly interested in, to be perfectly honest. I could see like a sloppy 3-round heavyweight tilt going to decision here.
Yeah, this one's going 3. I'm fairly positive it's going 3. I think BOSER's going to get the win. I think his leg kick game will just do enough to eventually slow down SPITZ and do enough to get the decision. Yeah, SPITZ is not a world-class talent. The fact that he's taken off a year and a half, a lot of guys, I'd be like, ooh, that's not good for him. But this guy had a lot of growing to do, man. Like, he was fairly young. Like, I think when he left, he was like 27 years old. He's a former football player, and he's 6'7" with like an 80+ inch reach. So I just don't think he quite figured it out. The fact he beat my boy Wesley Cabbage Carrera. So right off the bat, I got a vendetta against him. But he lost to Mark Godbeard in his UFC debut. Mark Godbeard is also currently a bare knuckle boxing heavyweight champion. But I mean, like, he soundly lost to Godbeard in a decision loss in his debut. Beats Anthony Hamilton. Doesn't have power. It's only his second career knockout. But as you mentioned, it's Anthony Hamilton. And then Walt Harris knocks him out. Walt Harris took right about to the last bit of that second round, I believe, to knock him out. He took some shots against Harris. His chin's not terrible. He did get knocked out. But Harris is a huge power puncher. And Godbeard is really only a power puncher. Not a huge one, but is only a power puncher. His chin checked out. I think, being 6'7", you're going to have that Stefan Struve effect where guys club you with the overhand, but I don't think his chin's that big of an issue. Flip side to that with BOSER. BOSER actually used to fight at 205, even though he weighs in decent amount, 250 now, and he is filled out. He's not a massive heavyweight. He comes from a karate background. I think he moves well for a heavyweight. But it's just like, it's a lot of one and done striking. He doesn't have a ton of power. He doesn't have a killer instinct. He doesn't actively pursue his opponent. But one thing he's got a killer leg kick game. He's won fights off his leg kick game. And at the very least, when nothing's happening in a fight and one guy just keeps kicking at your leg, it just gets you a little decision victory. And that's kind of what BOSER has relied on for the majority.
Can SPITZ just throw jabs, stuff right down the pipe? Because that's what you do against someone who's leg kicking you. If you're that much bigger, like SPITZ is what, like 6'6", 6'7"? Like he's
6'7". And flip side of that, BOSER's 6'2". SPITZ has, I think, an 82-inch reach. There's no doubt about it.
Problem is that when you've watched this guy throw hands before, you're like, he probably has like good reach and stuff, but it's like he doesn't look like he has the techniques yet all down to really utilize that, his physical gifts.
Yeah, well, and again, maybe the time off allowed him to figure it out. I mean, he trains at that sick jitsu gym, and at the very least, they've had pint-sized fighters.
Not many people are there anymore, though.
No, you're right. Okay,
like Chiesa
left. Cecilia left. I think Juliana Pena, I believe she left.
Did any of them go back or no?
Let's just, for the sake of argument,
they're in and out probably when they visit family and stuff like that. But like they do
they're not working with them anyways. You got a featherweight and a 35 girl.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is that what that gym has been able to do is take a small sample of fighters and turn out good fighters.
Yep.
So maybe the time off is allowing to help this guy. Okay. However, when you're 6'7", you're open to the leg kick, which is the only thing that Tanner BOSER seems to do really well. So I think BOSER wins. I think BOSER wins the decision. The 8,600 complete pass, the -140. I don't even love it, but it's not a bad price tag. So that'll be the round off. Quick rundown for Pogi.
Give me your parlay.
Okay, because I need some dogs here. So yeah, we're gonna go Reyes. And do I love that? No, but we're gonna go with Reyes. I'm gonna take Rodriguez. Technically, he's the dog, but fuck that. We'll just say it's an even money fight. Greg Hardy, yeah, we're gonna take him. Don't like that price. Jonathan Pearce, we're going to take him 150. Not a bad price. gonna go with Macy Barber 130.
You said
I know,
that you
I
would
know,
cop out
I
and
know, and I
take it.
did, and I will take Darren Wynn. I'm gonna go with Charles Rosa. That's gonna be my first official dog. I'll take Molly McCann. I'm gonna take Sean Woodson. That's my second dog. I'm gonna take Boston Salmon. I'm gonna take Sean Brady. I'm gonna take Brandon Allen. That's my third dog, and I'm gonna take Tanner Boser. The ones that I most likely want to pass on that are Steven Zia Rodriguez, maybe that main event, and that's about it. 3 dogs. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's get back on track. Rough week last week, but I think there's some good spots here. Get on that win line. Like I'm hitting that. Usually I wait until weigh-ins and stuff, but I know what I'm going to see at weigh-ins. I'm going to see Win looking considerably smaller and shorter and weight class. Like I don't know what I would actually gain from like watching a weigh-in for that. So yeah, hopefully we have a nice little bounce back week. Thank you to Cody Saftic breaking down the fights with me. As always, you have anything big coming up?
What is coming up? I mean,
In the horse racing world?
I got some MMA things coming up I can't actually discuss on air, but yeah, we got more cards coming up all the time, so you'll be able to tune into the show. And as far as the horse racing, the season, like the stake season just ended. Oh, there you go. That's what I'm doing. This week I'm going to horse sales.
Steak season?
Maybe I'll shoot a video. We're going to
Like
auction.
you mean like not like steak, like eating a steak?
No,
more
legal
like,
in Ontario, totally fine in Quebec, but that's greasy shit, man.
oh, horse meat.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I
What
mean,
is
it
that?
worked. It worked for
French people like it.
Ubering back in the day.
Yeah, and you know what's weird? Because like I'm half French, and it's a delicacy in France, but it's like nobody eats it here except for in Quebec. Why? No good, untrustworthy Frenchman. But yeah, no. Steak season is in like Cyrus steaks. Like it's got a steak on the line. Like you're trying to win. You're trying to win series to get to a final. So we had a good year this year. But typically what happens is after the end of the year, you sell your 3-year-olds or keep them, whatever you want to do, and then go and buy another crop of babies.
Nice.
Yeah. Life.
Big things happening.
Never stops, right?
All right. Well, that was our break. Oh yeah. By a quick reminder, this fight card happens on Friday night, which is kind of sweet. We haven't had Friday night fights in a while.
And Monday was a holiday for Canadians. You're not allowed to say the name anymore because it's offensive, apparently. But
Thanksgiving?
oh, Paul, whoa. Corporate sponsors. I had nothing to do with this guy. The fuck you talking about, man? Oh, be a shame if Christopher Columbus discovered us.
I mean, I find it very, very, very funny that you are pointing this out after your Court McGee take.
You can only pick and choose your battles. Maybe the junkie community is mad at Cody, but the Aboriginal community firmly behind my side.
Yeah. Anyway, that's UFC Fight Night Boston should be a fun card. Thank you to Cody Saftic breaking down the fights with me as always. For Cody, I am Paul saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!